Most people believe millionaires become wealthy because they discover extraordinary opportunities, possess rare intelligence, or take massive risks that ordinary people never would. But the real answer is far stranger. Some of the most financially successful people rely on a habit so small that it barely seems important. It takes only a few minutes. It requires no special talent. It does not depend on luck. Yet over years and decades, it quietly changes financial outcomes in ways that appear almost magical. The surprising part is that your brain was never designed for modern money. For most of human history, there were no credit cards, investment accounts, retirement funds, online shopping carts, or digital banks. Your ancestors lived in environments where survival depended on immediate action. Food could spoil. Resources could disappear. Danger could arrive without warning. In that world, taking advantage of opportunities immediately often increased survival. If food was available today, eating it made sense. Waiting could be risky. If resources appeared unexpectedly, using them quickly often improved the chances of surviving another season. Your brain inherited many of those same decision-making systems, and that creates a problem. Modern wealth is largely built through delayed rewards. Saving money means giving up something today for something larger tomorrow. Investing means accepting uncertainty now for potential gains years later. Financial security often requires resisting impulses that feel completely natural. Why does that feel so difficult? Researchers call this tendency present bias. Present bias describes your brain's preference for immediate rewards over future rewards, even when the future reward is significantly larger. One of the most famous demonstrations came from psychologist Walter Mischel. Children were offered a simple choice: 1 marshmallow immediately, or 2 marshmallows if they waited. Many struggled to wait, not because they lacked intelligence, because immediate rewards activate powerful motivational systems inside the brain. Adults experience the same process every day. The marshmallows simply become streaming subscriptions, impulse purchases, expensive gadgets, restaurant meals, and countless small financial decisions. Each choice feels insignificant, but something remarkable happens when those decisions accumulate. Researchers studying behavioral economics found that tiny differences in financial behavior often produce massive differences in long-term outcomes. A person who consistently delays small rewards does not seem dramatically different after a week, or even after a year. But after 20 years, the gap can become enormous. Why? Because wealth compounds. Most people understand compound interest mathematically. Far fewer understand it psychologically. Compound interest does not merely grow money. It amplifies behavior. A small habit repeated thousands of times creates outcomes that appear disproportionate to the effort involved. This insight was explored extensively by behavioral economists such as Daniel Kahneman and Richard Thaler. Human beings rarely make financial decisions through pure logic. Instead, decisions are shaped by emotions, instincts, shortcuts, and mental biases developed over evolutionary time. Imagine 2 people receiving an unexpected $100. The first spends it immediately. The second pauses. Not for hours, not for days. Just long enough to ask a simple question. Will future you be happier if this money is spent now or later? That pause may last only a few minutes, yet that small interruption changes everything. The pause creates distance between impulse and action, and distance gives your rational systems time to engage. Neuroscientists have observed that immediate rewards strongly activate regions associated with emotional motivation. Future rewards depend more heavily on areas involved in planning and long-term thinking. The challenge is that emotional systems act faster. The planning systems often arrive later. That means wealth building is not primarily a battle of intelligence. It is frequently a battle of timing. The people who consistently create even brief moments of reflection gain a powerful advantage. The habit itself is surprisingly simple. Before making a non-essential purchase, wait 5 minutes. That is all. Not 5 days. Not 5 weeks. 5 minutes. During those 5 minutes, ask 3 questions. Do you actually need this? Will you still want it tomorrow? What else could this money become if invested instead? Those questions seem almost trivial, but they force the brain to shift perspectives. Instead of focusing only on the immediate reward, your attention expands to include future possibilities. Over time, this repeated shift changes financial behavior. Something equally fascinating happens. The more often you delay gratification, the easier delaying gratification becomes. Researchers studying self-control discovered that habits gradually reduce the mental effort required for certain decisions. Repeated behaviors become increasingly automatic. The first few pauses may feel uncomfortable. Later, they become normal. Eventually, they become part of your identity. You stop feeling like someone who is trying to save money. You begin feeling like someone who naturally thinks about the future. That identity shift may be more important than the money itself, because identity influences thousands of future choices. Consider another strange aspect of wealth. Many purchases provide less happiness than expected. Psychologists call this effective forecasting error. Your brain predicts how happy something will make you, but those predictions are often exaggerated. The excitement fades, the novelty disappears, the item becomes ordinary. Yet the money spent remains gone. Future investments operate differently. They often feel less exciting initially, but their benefits frequently grow over time. This creates a mismatch between perception and reality. The option that feels best immediately is not always the option that creates the most satisfaction later. Your ancestors never faced this problem. There were no retirement accounts on prehistoric grasslands, no index funds, no automated investments, no digital marketplaces delivering rewards within hours. Modern environments surround your brain with opportunities to spend. But your biological wiring still favors immediate gratification. That mismatch influences millions of financial decisions every day. And yet some people consistently outperform that wiring, not because they possess extraordinary discipline, not because they have perfect self-control, but because they use small systems that compensate for natural weaknesses. The 5-minute pause is one example. Automatic investing is another. Automatic savings transfers work for the same reason. They reduce the number of decisions that require willpower. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler helped popularize this principle through research showing that changing systems often works better than trying to change motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Systems remain. The wealthiest financial habits frequently look boring. There is rarely a dramatic breakthrough. There is usually a sequence of small choices repeated consistently for years. That reality feels disappointing to many people. The human mind prefers dramatic stories, huge successes, life-changing opportunities, instant transformations. But wealth often grows through mechanisms that seem almost invisible while they are happening. The 5-minute pause is invisible. One delayed purchase changes very little. 100 delayed purchases begin changing behavior. 1,000 delayed purchases begin changing financial trajectories. Eventually, the results appear dramatic, but the cause remains surprisingly small. And that brings the story back to your brain. The struggle between spending and saving is not a sign of weakness. It is the consequence of ancient survival systems operating inside a modern financial world. Those systems helped your ancestors survive uncertainty, but they can sometimes interfere with long-term wealth building. The people who quietly accumulate wealth are often the people who recognize that conflict. They do not try to eliminate human nature. They design habits around it. And one of the simplest habits begins with a question that takes only a few minutes. Not whether something is affordable, not whether other people own it, but whether future you might value the money more than present you values the purchase. Because one of the most powerful financial advantages in modern life comes from a skill your ancestors rarely needed: the ability to pause. And that tiny pause may be the difference between consuming wealth and quietly building it.